Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again Monday, and welcome back to the Maxine Phillips Life Strategy Show. Listen, we dive deep into transformative stories and inspire and empower you to move forward in your career and your profession. I'm your show host, Maxine Phillips, known as the Level-less Woman. And what is Level-less? Level-less is about people succeeding with purpose. People who are, I call it success without levels. They know how to continue to move forward in their career and their profession without even the necessary steps of climbing a ladder or a corporate ladder or excelling or stepping up and so forth. It's important that you understand that you have your already God-given abilities in order to move forward and do what you have been purposed to do while you are here on this earth. You know, one of the things about level-less success without levels is that we're here to help you discover how to get and keep your dream job, your dream profession, earn what you're worth, and create the career and life that you desire. Not what someone else desires for you, but what you desire for yourself. So who do we help? It's all about career development. It's those seeking what's the right career path that complements your already given abilities, your natural abilities. And it's about you seeking a profession where you select the best profession that complements your strengths. Because after all, Level-less is about people succeeding with purpose. You know what you're worth, and you're able to continue to move forward and do what you've been called to do. Now, one thing about professional development is the fact that this is where you look into what associations you might need to belong to, what we call workshops and conferences and so forth and so on that you need to attend. But as I get started tonight, when we talk about who do we service professionals seeking advanced opportunities. That means that you're stuck, you're ready to move forward, and you're ready to do and use your strengths and abilities that you already have. We work with career and mid-career changers. These are professionals who are looking to transition into a different field or even a different industry. But you also bring those transferable skills with you as you're moving forward. And then there are those seasonal professionals. Now, these individuals, with significant work experience, you're ready to advance to a senior level position. Or if you're not already in a leadership position, you're ready to enter into a leadership position. And then we have professionals with employment gap. Let's face it, life happens. And when life happens, it could mean that you had to step away from your career for X amount of time due to personal reasons. It could be due to caregiving. It could be to further your education. And now you're looking to re-enter into the marketplace. So we're ready to help you to do that as well. And then, of course, let's not forget about our recent graduates. I know we had individuals who graduated in May and June, and you're still looking for employment. So don't forget to reach out to us and let us help you to get yourself ready, to put yourself in front of the corporations, to get your resume together so that you stand out and stand up and you separate yourself from everybody else who's trying to apply for a resume. We help you to personally brand yourself when it comes to the resume. That's right, because you know how to tell your story and to show that the values that you bring into an organization, that is so essential. But what about our military personnel? We have military individuals who leave in the military and now they come into the civilian world. We help you to take that experience that you had in the military, and we help you to make sure that you're able to tell your story on a resume that brands you for the particular job that you're seeking. Now, I know we have some freelance contractors and independent contractors. You also need a resume, and you also want to make sure that it brands what you bring to the table and what you're offering. And then those are entrepreneurs. I am in that same category as you all are. So you have to have your portfolio together, and a resume is an excellent way to ensure that you're showcasing all of the individuals that you've helped along the way. Now, those are just some of the individuals that we service. But tonight's show, tonight's show is about, I want you to imagine that you have been faced with a life-threatening moment. Because see, that's exactly what happened to me in March of 2014 when I consumed a food that had additives and preservatives in it, and it nearly cost me my life. So I'm here to talk with you this evening to share with you that there are some things that we can do, and we can start looking ahead in order for you not to experience what I experienced. I want to be able to sure that you're able to read labels, you know what some of the preservatives are, some of what the additives are, so that you can become familiar with them so that you can make the choices that you need for your body. Now, I'm on my journey to recovery. If you saw the pictures that I put out there when it took place in March, compared to what I am doing right now and able to sit in front of you and share with you, giving praises and to the glory to God, because I do believe in a higher power than myself. And so, therefore, I'm able to sit here and share with you what I have encountered. Again, I've been able to, through the medical professions, save my life, but also through listening to my body and listening to the spirit that's guiding me to do what I did in order for my body to recover. I am so thankful and grateful that I can sit here today and tell you that my heart has fully recovered. Because see, when I ate those preservatives and those additives, it had an adverse reaction on my heart to the point that they said I literally had heart failure. So you're talking about 4 or 5 months that my heart has fully recovered. Why is that? Because I had to pay attention to the preservatives. I had to pay attention to the additives. I had to pay attention to everything that was going into my body. And I want you to do the same, because there are some of you that's out there that have experienced headaches and you don't know why. You've experienced sicknesses and you're unsure. You've had illnesses that popped up and you don't know what caused them. Ladies and gentlemen, many times it's because of the preservatives and the additives that are in the foods that your body does not tolerate. It's called you just don't have those sensitivities to tolerate those ingredients that you've eaten, and your body doesn't know what to do with it. So when it does not know what to do with it, the weakest area in the body, it's gonna attack. And my heart happened to be the weakest area in my body because, see, at the age of 5, I had rheumatic fever at the heart. And that's not something that I could have controlled. It's just a little girl, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, and you ate things you shouldn't have eaten, and it had an effect on my heart, even as a 5-year-old. But as I advanced in life, and I especially in my 40s and 50s, when I realized that additives and preservatives was the cause of my blood pressure going up, and then my heart could not keep up with the blood that it needed to pump. So therefore, it went into an irregular heartbeat. And many times they call that AFib. And that's just a short word, there's an acronym for it. But tonight, I want to dive into giving you some empowering tips and techniques, just some practical tips that you can do for yourself that can help you maintain a healthy lifestyle. Because after all, you need to have a life work balance. And so be sure to write that down, life work balance. That is now a word that's being used quite often. I heard Dr. Angie Arrington say it. I've adopted it. So, Dr. Angie, I'm giving you credit for hearing you say it, but I am going to be using that as well because I love the fact that life comes first and then work, because work, without faith is what? Dead. That's right. You can't continue to do things if you don't have that work, that life work balance in order for you to be doing the things that you know you can do. And also with that life work balance, that's where your health comes in at. That's where you have to start looking for things that's going to keep you healthy, get you healthy, and maintain your health. And you have control over that. Always know your body better than anyone, because no matter who you talk to, no matter where you go, no matter what medical individuals that you see, they're going to ask you questions. So tell me about what's going on. And it's important that you understand your body better than anyone so that you can relay the information in a precise, factual, I would say sequential order in the way and things happened. So I want you to think about your health and career all in one, because if you're not healthy, it's going to be impossible for you to continue with your career. And we're going to talk about what havoc when you're unhealthy has on your career and it will have on your performance while you're at work. So today I want to start with maybe some decoding food labels. We're going to talk about that, how you make informed choices when it comes to what are some of the additives and what are some of the preservatives. And most of all, I want you to have a healthier life work balance. Write that down. Healthier life work balance. So if I have anyone out there listening in, let me know you're listening. Let me know who you are. Say hi to me. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I would love to hear to see, or I would love to see who's already out there. Let me take a peep and see if I can see anyone. Okay. All right. All right. I see Margaret. Okay, Margaret, I see you. All right, Stephanie. Okay. Yeah, I see y'all chiming in. Okay. Let me know where you're coming in from, because this information is so valuable. I want you to tell other people. I want you to reach. I mean, why don't you go in and text other people right now and say, hey, listen, Maxine Pearl Phillips is on and she's talking about life work balance, looking at the healthier you and how will it affect your career? That's right. How will it affect your career? So as we're moving along, I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint. And as I bring up this PowerPoint, we're going to walk through it because we're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to be talking about, we call that, I'm drawing a blank. We're talking about not only nutrition, but we're going to be talking about ingredients, looking at the ingredients. And we're also going to be looking at the foods and the additives. So let me see if it has come up, and that way we can get started. All right, my producer is going to be bringing it up shortly. There it goes. All right, let me do a full screen on this. There we go. All right, so tonight is about the road to recovery, and I just explained to you what caused my heart to go into heart failure, and it was mainly because of preservatives and additives. So we're going to be looking at the food labels, and also we're going to be talking about what's the serving size, because many times we misunderstand what a serving size is when we look at the package. We see it, but then we don't see it, because if it's something that we're enjoying, guess what? We're going to have the whole thing. But we have to be cognitive and look at what is actually the food serving that we should be having in each of the packages of products. All right, so now we're going to be decoding the foods and fostering a healthier work-life balance. A life-work balance. So let's talk about ingredients for a moment. I want you to think about, and if you're close to your cabinet or your kitchen, or if you have something in your hand and it's a packaged product, no matter what it is, I want you to flip it over And I want you to look at the ingredients because I want you to start spotting some of the potential allergens, some of the potential things that you're going to have allergies to that your body is going to react to. Oh, Stephanie is coming in from Raleigh, North Carolina. Yay. Thank you, Stephanie. And look at that. Stephanie moving forward. And that's what Level is all about, is moving forward in your purpose. Thank you, Stephanie. And then we're going to be talking about, from ingredients, avoiding harmful additives and preservatives. And then we'll choose some products with fewer. I want you to start choosing products with fewer recognizable ingredients, which means if it's a long word and you cannot pronounce it and you do not know what it means, you do not know what that ingredient is, then you probably should not be having it. I'm telling you that from personal experience. Now, when my body reacted to the preservatives that I had eaten, I had not eaten this particular preservative in about 10 years. And I made the food. But see, I thought it was going to be okay for me to taste it. But no, my body says, no, I didn't like it 10 years ago, and I still don't like it. And so therefore it causes my body to start swelling and swelling and swelling. And before I know it, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I could not talk. I was in a crisis situation and near death. And that's not what I want to happen for you. So that's why I'm sharing this information. Now, there were 7 preservatives that I talked about and I'm talking about. And one of them is monosodium glutamate. And that's the one that I mentioned to you that have at least 56 different names for it. I gave you a name such as spices. Whenever you see spices in the ingredient, you don't know what those spices are unless they actually list the spices. And then we have the other thing about monosodium glutamate. Another word is natural flavorings. Again, it may have started out natural, but we don't know if it ended up natural, because sometimes when things are cooked and heated, it changes the chemistry of the product or the ingredients in which you're eating. Now, there's things such as I'm allergic to or I have an intolerance for is sodium sulfites. And then we have the sodium nitrites and nitrates. Now, there are meats and products that have, we call them no nitrates, no nitrites. You can look for those products, and then that would help you to also determine and to choose a product that does not have that particular ingredient or that particular chemical or additive. And then we have potassium sorbate. Now, we already know that's a sugar. It makes things sweet, but it's also a part of an MSG, in a sense, MSG family if you're not careful. And then we have these other 3 here. Well, as I move along, I want to talk to you about reading labels. Again, if you are close to the kitchen or you have something in your hand, I want you to flip it over. Because in 2020, the federal government changed the way labels are now listed on products. Hey, Sharon, thanks for chiming in. She's one of my avid listeners. This is great information, especially for older. Yes, slide 5. Okay. Yes, that's you're right, because when the labels changed, Sharon, if you notice, it were in smaller print. I don't know if you can. I want to just to make sure that you're able to see that it was in smaller print. But now that they are changing the labels, they're taking many of the labels from the back of the products and put them on the front of the product so that you can see them readily and you're not having to look for them. And the other thing about the label is that now that the wording is somewhat larger, and also the calories, estimated calories are larger, so you'd know exactly how many calories are that particular product or that package actually has. And that's essential when you know how many calories, how many grams of sugar, how much sodium. You need to know all of that information, because as you're reading the labels and you understand that more, then you know if you're staying within we call it the guidelines. And so it's important that you stay within the guidelines. I have the link up here as to the website that I've gotten this information from. So you can always go to to the government, the food labeling, and look at this particular slide if you would like to. Now, let's talk about nutrition facts. This is where, if you notice in the blue, it talks about serving information. Now, this particular one has 4 servings. And what is the serving size? The size is 1 cup, but there are 4 cups in this particular product. So that means if you were to eat the whole can or the whole package, you've eaten 4 servings, which means everything that's here on this label, you would have to multiply by 4. And so that means the calories, instead of being 280 calories, you have to multiply that by 4. And then you'll know exactly how many calories that you have just ingested. The other thing about this particular label is the total fats. It breaks down fats and it looks at saturated fats versus trans fats. And we always hear about trans fats. Keep the trans fats low. But this way you get a chance to see how many trans fats is in this particular product. Again, remember what I said, if you eat the whole package, then you have to multiply it by 4 because this particular nutrition fact says there are 4 servings in here. So as I move along, that's the calories. Then we say here are the nutrients, and the nutrients is start talking about the dietary fiber, if there's sugar, if there's protein, if there's calcium, if there are any particular vitamins in it, it's going to list those as well. And then the last thing is a quick guide to the percentage of the daily value that you're supposed to have in each of these areas. And majority of the time, it looks at it about a 2,000 calorie diet is what they go by. That's usually the standard. Next is the serving size. Now, I mentioned that this particular item had 4 servings per container. And so if you're trying to watch your health, and you want to keep it down to the 1 cup, then you know that 1 cup is going to give you 280 calories. But if you have the 4, all of 4, then you multiply that by 4. And you're going to see that you have over 500, maybe 560 calories. So you have to multiply by 4. Are there any questions thus far? I know I'm giving you a lot of great information. These are platinum nuggets. I want you to write them down. I want you to take notes. And I also want you to share this information with others because the whole objective is to help us to be as healthy as possible. If I move right along, now this is a larger version of the serving size. And if you notice, it helps you to multiply that. This particular product states that it has 3 servings per container. 3 servings. And this happened to be pretzels. Oh, okay. This happened to be pretzels. And with this, it tells you that there are 110 calories per serving. But if you eat the whole bag, then you have just eaten 330 calories. Now, you have to decide how many calories that you're going to intake in a day's time. And we know that we put too many calories in our bodies and we're not exercising or we're not burning the calories, then it has a tendency to turn into additional pounds. Then usually those are unwanted pounds. So just be cautious of that. And if you notice, it talks about the total fat. This says it's 1%, but if you eat the whole package, then you have 2%. So just keep multiplying it by, 3%. Then just keep multiplying it by 3 because there are 3 servings in this particular package. And the reason why I'm stopping here and I'm emphasizing the servings is because many times we don't look at the number of servings. It's just something that we enjoy. I remember I had a friend the other day and she was sharing with me, oh, I cannot have this particular syrup because it's 24 calories of sugar. But then I asked her, I said, well, tell me how many servings does it say that you're supposed to have? And it said that the use of 24 calories, it took 2 tablespoons of that particular syrup. Well, if you were not going to have the 2 tablespoons of that syrup, that means that you're not getting those 24 calories. And so, 24 grams of sugar. So let's back into it and say, do you want the full 2 tablespoons Or you want 1 tablespoon, or you want a fourth of tablespoons. So you decide how you want to break that down. And then you back into actually how many grams of sugar that you're actually intaking. If I stop and talk about sugar for a minute here, many times we go with sugar free, we go with light, we go with that particular way of sugar. But do you realize that the pancreas does not know the difference between artificial sugar and actually real sugar, or the raw sugar, or the organic cane sugar? Yes, what percentage should we not go over in it? Well, it depends on what your body is, and it depends on if you're trying to reduce, Stephanie, as to whether or not you would, how much sugar that you would actually want to intake. Let's see. Okay. Yes, this is a different way of getting healthy. So when I talk about there was 24 grams of carbs in 2 tablespoons, well, when we start talking about how many servings there were in this particular, that you needed 2 tablespoons in order to get those 24 grams of carbs, she decided, well, hey, wait a minute, I can have this and enjoy it, but I'll have half. No, I'll have a fourth. So she only did 1 teaspoon. And when she did 1 teaspoon, guess what? It was no longer 24 grams of sugar. It was no longer. You divide that by 4 and you only got what? 6 grams of sugar. That's right. And so therefore she was able to enjoy, and she was eating pancakes at that time. So she was able to enjoy her pancakes with the syrup. And as I talked about artificial sugar versus raw sugar or organic sugar. Raw sugar and organic sugar is going to be much sweeter than your sugar-free. But the pancreas does not know the difference. Please hear me out. The pancreas does not know the difference between artificial sugar and raw sugar or organic sugar. The pancreas is going to produce the insulin that's needed in order to convert that sugar into energy. I would suggest that if you're going to have it, you just reduce your intake of sugar, but have the natural sugar and have the raw sugar. But also talk to your doctor, talk to your nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I do not profess to be a doctor, but I do know Maxine's body. And the things that I'm sharing with you are the things that I have encountered myself. Now, my near-death experience came from trying a particular item that I had not eaten in 10 years, not realizing my body still said no to it. But you best believe I will not try that again, nor will I try any of the preservatives or additives that I already know that my body has said no to in the past. I do not intend to try it again. I have a job to do. I have an assignment to do. And my assignment is now to share this information with the world so that we can be healthier as we're living our lives. And we can work like we want to. We can have the desired lifestyle that we want so that we can continue to impact the world and transform generations. So that's my claim to fame. That's the level is people succeeding with a purpose. So that's my purpose. I want to talk to you just for a moment about health culture and performance. According to SHRM's study, when a health culture is in place or when it's not in place, so when I say when it's not in place, I want you to understand that when I give these particular statistics, I want you to understand, just reverse them and say if a health culture was in place, then this would be reversed. But when it's not in place, then usually the workers are not as careful at work because the culture is not healthy. And I always think of safety first. So if the culture is not safety first, that means that the employees are not going to be as careful as at work unless, let's not put everybody in the same category, unless they themselves have that safety first mindset. So no matter what the company is doing, you still want to be careful in what you're doing. And then if the health culture is not there, you're not working as often because that means you could easily get sick because of the environment. It could be some things that's going on. I never will forget this particular company that I worked at. The young lady kept complaining about a headache that she kept getting in this particular office. And so before long, she found herself really, really ill. But they were never able to determine what was in that office that was causing this person to become ill. So your environment definitely could have an impact on your health. And then when an environment is not as healthy, then you do not have the concentration. You can't concentrate, because if you're sick, how are you going to concentrate? Think about if you're dealing with numbers and you're dealing with computers and you're constantly calculating numbers, and you're trying to do a hypothesis and probabilities, and you're doing all of these different things. You're doing research, you're doing testing. How are you going to be able to concentrate? So that's why it's important that if the environment is not healthy, you have to also make sure that you keep yourself healthy. And then you get less work done, because if you're getting less work done, majority of the time, it means that either you're not there, you got to get up, you have to walk around. And plus, you should always get up and walk around anyway, because after sitting about an hour to an hour and a half, you should take a stretch break. Always get up, get the blood circulating. And then that way, even yarn, stretch, bring the body alive, so that you don't just be sitting in one place. So these are some of the things that the SHRM talked about in their study, that when a health culture is not in place, these are some of the things that will affect performance. And then we also have one of the slides that I'm going to talk about here is you. You take control of your health. You take control of what you are going to be doing about how much water you drink, how much exercising you're doing, how attentive you are. So when you're healthy, you have this attention span, and it's much longer. You don't have a short fuse, and the least little thing won't tick you off, and you're able to navigate and work through situations that otherwise you would not be able to work through. And then a lot of times, let's face it, if we're not feeling well, sometimes we're not able to go to work. And if you're not able to go to work, that means that you're taking more time off from work. But if you are healthy, then there's less time that you'll take off from work, or you're more productive. Your productivity is at a higher level, and then you're able to concentrate. So these are some of the things that you can do for yourself. So what questions do I have out here about the impact of health and when it comes to your performance? Let me see if I have any questions out here. All right, let's see. Okay. That's important, and to be able to see it. Yep. Okay. What percentage should you not go over in your daily percentage? Stephanie, I mentioned that percentage is going to be based on your weight, your height, your size, and even what you and your doctor have agreed upon. So always check with your doctor to find out what's the best percentage. Because I know with me, a type 2 diabetic, I can only have so many carbs a day, but I have to stay within that limit, excuse me, and keep my blood sugar readings at a certain level. I know once I was diagnosed in 2009 and I was able to get it under control in 2011 and 12, then I've been able to keep it under control all these years without I eliminated diabetic medications and have been able to maintain it. So you have to, I would say, write things down, journal it, keep a note as to what you eat, how much you ate, what impact did it have on your body. If your body started gaining weight, did you start losing weight? Do you have these conversations with your doctor? All of this is so critical and so important. And Sharon, how can I advocate for myself? Well, Sharon, one of the things that I would always, always, always emphasize: write notes. Document everything you can think about, all in things that you've encountered. I know I kept a food diary, and by keeping a food diary, I started recording how I felt, my reactions to the food, which foods I reacted to, how long did it take me to react to it. Sometimes it took me 24, 48, or 72 hours before my body had a negative reaction. And now within 15 minutes, I'm going to have that negative reaction. So I'm at a zero tolerance. So you have to understand what tolerance level you and your body is at all times. And the best way to do it is to document it. The other thing about documenting this information is that when you go to the doctor, take that documentation with you. That way, when you're talking to the doctor, you're not trying to, oh, I think about a month ago, or I think this happened, or I think that happened. You have all the facts right there with you. Listen, I have an entire notebook that I take with me when I go to the doctor, and I have it in tabs. I know what the first visit, second visit, third visit, what type of tests I've had, and I write notes on the test so that when I go, I know what I want to ask the doctor. And then that way, I'm not trying to remember what it is that I wanted to say or the questions that I had. That's how you advocate for yourself. Let the doctor know that you're very informed about your body. You're not taking anything away from their education, the number of years that they've done, their education and so forth. But remember, no two people are alike. And so you are that one in a million. And that's why you have to advocate for yourself. I advocate for myself all the time when I go to the doctor because I'm allergic to so many different things. And I have to continuously tell them what I am allergic to. Even if they're going to be sedation and what sedations they're going to use, I ask, what are you using? And then I research it for myself. I research it for myself. So those are some of the things that you can do to advocate for yourself. Let's see. Okay, what do you do when the doctor does not listen? Sharon, I must have to admit, when I go to the doctor and they hear me, and I'm well informed about my body. Yes, I'm well informed about my body, and I'm sharing with them what I've done and the research that I've done. Many times they don't want to listen. They really don't. And I understand that they're the professionals. I understand that they've done all of the education. And Elizabeth, I'll start talking about the water intake. Rest correlate with your nutrition health. Yes, water does. Water does. Let me finish Sharon's question about when the doctor does not listen. You must ask them to listen. Ask them to listen to you because you have written down what you have experienced. You're not challenging them on their level of education, but you want them to understand that you are advocating for you. If you can have another family member in the room with you, then have that family member in the room with you. Because many times when they give you test results, those test results can be in those medical terminology, and it may not be in layman terms where you can understand it. And so I take notes. I take my notebook with me and I write notes. I ask them how to spell the words and so forth. I ask them, what does it mean? And I ask them, what effect is it going to have on my body? Does it also work with another medication in which I'm taking? All of this is a way of advocating for yourself. When they don't listen, you just keep emphasizing that this is what happens to you. You know, you cannot speak for what happens to someone else, but you can continue to emphasize what happens to you when you ingest these particular additives or preservatives, or you encounter this particular fragrance and so forth. Listen, I can walk into a room, and if they have a room deodorizer in that room, my body is so sensitive to sulfate that I will immediately start reacting to it just by inhaling it, just by breathing it, the odor, the scent. And I have to turn around and walk out of it and then get fresh air. So you have to know your body about that, to that level. You must know it to that level. I can't emphasize that enough. But yes, not all the medical professions are going to listen to you. And then there are some that will. I'm not going to put all of them in the same category, but some of them will. But what I always ask, work with me. Listen to what I have to say and work with me. I'm working with you. You're working with me. It's not a one-way communication. It's a two-way communication, because after all, if you subscribe medication to me, I'm the one that would have to be willing to take it. But if I understand why I'm taking it, what impact it's going to have, is it going to have an adverse reaction to what I'm already allergic to or not? And then we can have that conversation. So advocate for yourself, but write it down. Take your notes with you when you go to the doctor. I cannot emphasize that enough. All right, Elizabeth. Elizabeth asks, does water intake and rest correlate with your nutrition health? Yes, ma'am, it does. Water intake, you need that. You need to keep the body hydrated. If the body is not hydrated, and let's say if it's dehydrated, let's face it, the heart can be affected by that. The kidneys will be affected, the liver, your lungs, all of that is actually would be affected if you do not have enough water in the body. Now, if I talk about water, I also have to talk about not all water is the same. So you need to also read the ingredients when it comes to the water that you're purchasing. If you can put a water filter on your refrigerator, then put a water filter on your refrigerator, and then you get your glass that no what BPA I think it is, and then that way you keep it filled for yourself, and maybe not necessarily use plastic bottles, because all of that can affect you as well. Mark, I see you popping in. Did you have a
Yeah, I have a quick question and everything on that water intake, and I think we covered it last time, but I just want to give some further clarification because everybody is all excited about these designer waters and all along those lines. So I just wanted your take on them because I know some people want to get these waters that are designer waters and all along those lines, and I just didn't know if you had any thoughts of them and their impact and everything. And I do think Elizabeth has got some questions as well, but that was my question around water because I know everybody really digging into these popular waters that are designer waters, for lack of a better term.
Okay, when it comes to designer waters, this is what I'm going to say to you. No matter what water you are going to be drinking, read the label. Read what it states that's in the water. Not all water is pure water. You have the alkaline water, you have
Mhm.
water that's infused with different things. You get yourself another doctor immediately. Yes, you definitely, if they won't listen to you, Elizabeth, you're right. You move it, you keep it moving. But anyway, when it comes to the water, read the ingredients. I never will forget. I had an experience. I had drank some water before going into church one Sunday, and I sat down, and all of a sudden my heart just started going crazy, and I'm like, "What? I didn't eat anything that had preservatives in it, so why is my heart going crazy?" And so I got up, left out of church, went back to the car, looked at the water, and in the back of the water, it had sulfate in it. It has sulfate in it. I'm
Wow.
allergic to sulfate. I would have never thought to look at the water bottle to see if that water had sulfate in it. So they have all these different ingredients in waters that you have to pay attention to. Too many times people don't advocate for themselves, and to their detriment, life challenges are difficult. Yes, yes, yes. And it becomes even more difficult when you don't advocate for yourself. And then if you can't do it, take someone with you.
Yeah.
Take
You know,
and
that,
right, have someone to go in there with you so that they can advocate for you and that they understand the conditions that you are, the things that you've already shared with them, so they can also share with the doctor. Mark, what were you
no,
ready to say?
no, I was going to say because I think I told you, and I know I've mentioned on some other shows. Dad just recently had a heart procedure, and all along those lines, and definitely he's got a lady love. It's not my mom because they've been divorced for years. That has been definitely keeping us in the loop with her text messages when folks can't get there because of the limited amount of people can get there in our own schedules and
Right.
everything. So she's been keeping people in the loop, and definitely there have been some concerns around platelet levels, but he's doing good and is actually off the ventilator because he is one of those positive people and is having positive recovery and everything along those lines. So, but definitely it's good to have to be your own advocate because he's been his own advocate when he can, even though lately he's been getting a lot of rest because rest is needed for healing. But he's also got somebody in his corner that is an advocate for him. So it's always good to have a fellow advocate as well. It can be your significant other, which is what Linda is to my dad and everything. So just it's good to have those advocates, like you're saying, but it's also good to have those conversations because they've been impressed with his road to recovery. Even some of the doctors and nurses have been going that he's not your average middle 80-year-old because his dad just turned 84 and everything back in June. So he's definitely recovering quite well and better than they thought he would. And hopefully that will continue. So keep those prayers coming for those of you that are doing such things.
Exactly. I mean, an advocate. Let's think about children. Who are their advocate? The parent or
Mhm.
whomever, the guardian or whomever is going to the doctor with them. So you have to speak up on their behalf. They can't tell the doctor everything. They can tell them what hurts or something like that, but they don't know when it started, how long it's been, and so forth. So it's the same way with even us. When we get sick, I have to have someone to advocate for me because I'm too sick to talk on my own behalf.
Mhm.
Especially when I went through this heart failure. I
Mhm.
couldn't talk on my behalf, but my niece who was here and experienced it, my grandson who was here had experienced everything that I'd gone through. They were able to speak on my behalf, and so that's what you need as well. And the other thing, even thinking about this is like, sometimes that's why you have a power of attorney. So those power of attorney, when it comes to the medical, that they can speak up on your behalf and be an advocate. So there's different stages and different people and different ways in which people can serve as an advocate for you.
Yep.
Yeah. So good kudos to your father, you
Yes.
know, for that improved health. That's how I feel, my road to recovery,
Yep.
after that 4.5 months,
Yep.
they were totally surprised, impressively heart complete, in full recovery, and
So
so I
speaking
know
of,
that they're totally surprised, but hey, I listen to my body, and you must know your body better than anyone. And that's why you have to continue to advocate for yourself. What we get
but
ready to
speaking of
say.
that and everything, just really quickly along those same lines, how important? Because like I said, I know my dad was an avid swimmer, and that we would probably try to get back to swimming as soon as he can, and everything. And he used to do a lot of bicycling. So I don't know how much we've covered that in these talks, but how important do you think it is in the road to recovery to have a good exercise plan and all along those lines? Because like I said, I know that that's one of the things people are expecting him to do as soon as he can is to get back into his swimming and all along those lines. And I think even the doctor himself, because I think that was one of the first questions that even his lady love asked was how soon could he get back into the pool, and they were actually saying that they hope that he can get in sooner versus later and everything. But how important do you think it is to have a exercise program?
I think it's very important to have an exercise program. However, speak with your doctor.
Right.
It's important that you understand your limitations. I know I cannot run a marathon right now, but
Right.
I can do some leg lifts. I can do some sit ups. I can do my little line dancing that I like to do, but not to the part that I'm huffing and puffing. So everything is a gradual. You have to, that's why you want to talk to your doctor so that when you put a regimen in place, whether it's your water, whether it's your rest, Elizabeth asked about rest. Rest is so important because the body repairs itself while you are asleep. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to get into that deep realm of sleep in order for your body to go through that process because the body is a machine. It's like anything else. It has to be oiled, it has to be lubricated, you have to have rest, you have to give it a time to take rest. And so these are just some of the things to think about. I'm going to get rid of, yeah, come out of that. We're going to take Mark, you can take the PowerPoint off the screen. But yeah, so those are the kind of things that we have to put into place. Is it the water intake? I know they say have half your body weight in water or in fluids. So you have to be careful about what those fluids are. You have all juices, that's not good because if it's full of sugar, then you have all that sugar going through your bloodstream. And then if you do alkaline water, you can still overdo it when it comes to alkaline water. So you have to have a good pH balance. And the way you do that is talk to your doctor, meet with your doctor, have your blood tests done regularly. I know we always say at least an annual physical, but in some instances you might have to have your blood work done 3 times a year. But you and your doctor can determine that depending on your health conditions and what you're going through. But these are some excellent questions. I want to thank you all for, but definitely coming on and asking the questions. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I've missed anyone. Uh, yes, get yourself a doctor immediately if they're not listening. Elizabeth, that is so critical. And then if the doctor has done something that you've asked them not to do, then you also might want to seek another medical profession and
Yeah.
not go to that same doctor because after
Hey,
all, you want your doctor to listen to you.
yes, indeed. Hey, Maxine, just really quickly on those same lines. Today is a very great day here in North Carolina. So I just wondered how much do you think the weather impacts recovery as well? Because it's definitely been a
Oh,
great day here and everything. So I just wanted your take on weather and its impact on our health also.
well, the weather does play an impact. Let's face it, in the wintertime, we usually have to hibernate and we're inside. Not too many people want to go out in the ice and the snow. However, if it's a first snowfall, it might be good to go out there and enjoy that snow and do some exercise with one another and Yes, you want to continue working on your health. And the other thing, if it's raining outside, depending on what you're going through, sometimes people with asthma might have a problem in the breathing when it's raining. So therefore they might have to stay in. Mark, I never will forget that back in 2014, I think it was, when I started really watching my weight and watching my intake and watching the preservatives and everything, I added an exercise regimen. But I didn't go to the health club. And that's when everybody was going to the health club. But I did not want to go to the health club. What I did was the Wii was out. And so I purchased the Wii. And every day I would play on that Wii 2 and 3 times a day because they had running, they had boxing, they had a baseball, they had golf, they also had bowling. And so I found myself doing that 2 or 3, 4 times a day. And before I knew it, I had lost 80 pounds, and I have been able to keep that 80 pounds off. Now, COVID-19 did catch up with me a little, but I've been able to keep that off because I also had a lifestyle mindset change. Because when you reduce your weight, or you reduce or you start any regimen, you have to have a mindset to say, am I going to keep it going? And many times when people go on a diet, they're on that diet for as long as the diet lasts. And then as soon as they come off, if they've been reducing, then they end up started gaining weight again. Whereas what has not happened or taken place is the mindset has not registered that you need to change the way in which you think, the way in which you use your food servings, the way in which you're going to intake the water. With my case, I have to watch preservatives and I have to watch additives. So I have to have that mindset to constantly read labels. I mean, it's hard for me to even go out to a restaurant or to go out to an establishment where there's going to be food. I go, but I have to take my own food because I already know I can't take a chance. I cannot afford to take a chance. I took one after 10 years and it almost cost me my life. And I don't ever want to take that chance again. So, those are the kind of things that you have to take into consideration. You have to have a mindset change. And when it comes to health, health is no different. You must have a mindset change. And what are you going to do in order to, if you're not healthy, to become healthy and to maintain the healthiness in which you just put in place? Yes, Sharon, mindset, that is so essential. And mindset can be in so many different ways. It can be a career mindset, it can be a professional development mindset. Are you developing yourself along the way when you know that you see yourself wanting to move forward and do something different? Are you networking? Are you meeting people? Are you building relationships? Are you making your connections count? All of this is a part of the mindset. And what level is success without levels. That is a mindset. And here we call it a movement, because the more we can get people to understand that you can be successful without climbing a ladder. A ladder. You don't have to worry about trying to climb a corporate, get here, get here, get here, get here in order for you to be successful. I want you to define what success is to you. I want you to define what success is to you. What does it look like? What do you see yourself doing? What impact do you see yourself making while you're here on this earth? What legacy do you see yourself leaving? And if you start living your legacy now, then yes, a mindset for your health. I like that. That's right, Sharon. A mindset for your health. And it's important that you make a commitment. Take a pledge that this is what you'll be doing for yourself. You can't do it all at once, but write the steps down in which you see yourself doing when it comes to the health, whether it comes to your career, whether it comes to performance management, where it comes to professional development. You have to write the strategy down, and you must work the strategy in order for it to work for you. Mark,
Just
look
really
like you had
quickly,
something
yeah,
else to
yeah,
say.
just really quickly, because I know that I've been rolling it there for a while, and we've only got a few more minutes to go in this show. So I just didn't know if you wanted to talk to them about this lovely assessment that you're doing, because I do know that you keep them informed around assessments and all along those lines. So as we got ready to head out the door, I didn't know if you wanted to just bring their attention to those assessments and all along those lines.
Well, Levelist does an ability assessment. And this is where we help our professionals, those who are unsure as to what's your purpose? What are your strengths? What are your abilities? What were you born with? What were you born to do? And if you're unsure, you're stuck. This is where we are here to ensure that you go through this assessment. And based on this assessment, it helps you to understand this is the career path you are to look at. This is the one that's closely matched to your strengths that you were born with. And from that career path, then you look at the profession. So the career path might be medical. And if it's medical, then what's a profession? There's so many different layers of professions within the medical arena. I happened to be on customer service side when I started my career path. And then I went for telecommunications. I went to the switchboard. I went to the being an operator. I went to teaching what we call customer service imperatives. I went to managing an organization and now managing my own business, but all of it is a part of customer service is how do you give back and what is it that you're doing in order to bring people along, and so the assessment is here and it's something that you can take right in the comforts of your home. And then we just meet Zoom and feedback. Majority of the time is Zoom because we still have COVID that we have to be concerned with. We have the flu season is upon us, so we have to be cautious and keep ourselves healthy. Is no different. And so we can always do feedback over the digital or virtual. But it's important that even as the age of 14, our young professionals can start taking this assessment so they'll know exactly what direction they're to take while they're in high school, moving toward their college or moving toward the workforce. Those who are stuck and unsure, those who are middle management and you're ready to move up into a higher level of leadership, but you're unsure as to what's your blind spot, what's preventing them from looking at you and promoting you. This assessment will help us help you get there. And so the other thing is that it helps you to know who you are from your core. I mean, this assessment has helped the marriage. I don't do marriage counseling, don't get me wrong, but it has helped marriage individuals to understand themselves so there's no misunderstanding. It has helped organizations and teams to understand it's not a personality conflict. It's just that this is how this person prefers to be communicated with. And so when you start putting all that together, it helps teams, organizations, it helps groups, it helps individuals, it helps youth, the young professionals as well as professionals. So don't sit there and try to understand what are you to be doing with your life while you're on this earth. Allow levelers to come along the side of you and walk this journey with you. That career path is essential, and the profession that you choose within the career path is even more essential because, after all, we want you to live the lifestyle that you deserve and also receive the salary that you desire so that you can be happy and fulfilled at what you're doing. It's essential that you be happy and fulfilled and live your legacy while you're here. Don't just talk about it, be about it. All right, let's see. Well, any last questions? Any last questions? Life is a commitment. That is true. And the other thing, Sharon, I love that you said that life is a commitment because one of the quotes that I always say is career is a lifetime and life is a project. Think about it. When you're 5, 6, 7 years old, everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then while you're growing up and you're in the profession, you want to constantly move and do other things. And how do you do that? And then as you get older and you start reaching retirement, then it's like, well, what are you going to do after you retire? And many times you can be a mentor, you can give back to the community, you can work with other entrepreneurs, you can work with other young adults, young professionals, you can work with professionals who's just getting started in a business. There's so many different ways that you can use your skills and continue to move forward for yourself and also to help other people move forward. So, as I recap tonight, I want you to define what success is for you. I want you to write down anything that you know you need to be talking to the doctor about, and you take those notes with you to the doctor so that you can have that informed conversation and you can advocate for yourself. And as Elizabeth said, if they're not listening to you, find another doctor. But I want you to also know your body better than anyone. so that you can continue to advocate. And if you can't, take someone along with you so they can for you. So as I get ready to close this evening, I like to say, I believe in you. I trust you believe in yourself. And I am so happy that my heart has fully recovered. Have a great evening.